It is Tuesday, August 21st, 2018. Hi, my name is Kai Kurosawa, and this is Tuesday Office Hours number 6, I believe. Thank you so much for joining me. Today I'd like to actually answer some questions that I received previously, and hopefully also we'll get some new questions while we stream this. We'll go for about an hour today, and today I'm thinking I'm gonna try talking both and in English and Japanese. Usually I try to split it up, but just for the heck of it, I'm gonna try that. Like sometime, especially with some of the questions that I received, I will answer them in both English and Japanese. So at least that's the plan for now. All right, and of course, today's episode, as always, I'd like to show you one of my kokeshis from Usaburo. This, of course, is Goku. Yay! Isn't that great? One of the character kokeshis that I have, and they're from Usaburo Kokeshi. And see, he even has this Nyoibo right here, which is really awesome. Yeah, younger Goku. Anyway, all right, so let's get into it. All right, you know what? At the beginning, why don't I just play a little bit? I thought today was going to be a little chiller, but ended up kind of having a good practice. So I feel mentally or mental energy-wise, I actually used up some of my steam already. But let me just play something, warm up a little bit. And then I'm gonna go tackle some questions, or at least questions that I received in the past already. こんにちは、久美子さん、川田さん、お久しぶりです。Hi, Dad. Yes, Dad, thank you. Here to enjoy Office Hours 6. right, so anyway, just a quick noodle. All right, so today, talking about some questions that I received. So there was a question asking about my string height, like action, sort of like the instrument setup. And well, it depends on what your perspective is as well, of course. I tend to like the string action higher. However, this instrument that I'm playing right now, the MTD Kubel, this is probably the lowest action instrument that I've been playing on. I tend to like higher action just because it's easier to get dynamics that way, and I actually kind of enjoy having to work for the sound a little bit. Like, I'm not a big fan of the term touch style just because, there's a lot more going than just touching. And, there is tapping. I mean, I do a lot of tapping, but I do also a lot of the, the strumming with my pinky, the pinky pointing for duty. I do a lot of my one-hand bass. So those kind of techniques, I feel they actually are a lot easier, or they're a lot better, or it helps to have a little bit of action. So that's basically that, I guess. Now, when people try on my instrument, especially this one, some people feel like, okay, the action's a little high, and then some people think, oh, the action's really low, and it's really up to your perspective, I guess. The Bear tracks that I played as my main instrument for years, that was definitely higher action. Now that, I think across the board, people agreed that was a high action. Often, especially tapping, stick players or war guitar players, two-hand tapping players are often surprised with the height of the action of my instrument. My instrument's action, the height of the string. Anyway, all right, so that's that. Hopefully that answers that really quickly. Can't really, show how and actually, yeah, the bass side is set a little higher. I remember when I got this instrument, the bass side, the action was set a little too low. So at least on the bass side, I did heighten the action. Yeah. Okay. So next question. Let's see. Oh yes. So this was an interesting question. Somebody asked, Sarajuria? Man, I'm sorry, I can't really pronounce your name, but thanks for the thumbs up. Yes, where was I? Yes. So, somebody was asking me, there was a question about if I actually have dots on behind the neck. This was from last week, because I think last week I was explaining that I actually play this way. So a lot of the time I am not seeing the fretboard or my fingers. So when I'm playing, I'm actually seeing most of the time the back of the neck, which, by the way, the back of the neck, if you want to see, it's quite lovely actually. So it's not a bad sight by any means. But yes, I tend to look at it behind the neck, and the question was, do I have dots there? Because I guess I never really thought of that, but yeah, this person thought maybe I have dots, and I do not have any dots behind the neck. I do have side dots. They're very limited though. I have on the 5, 7, 12, 17, and then 22, 21? Yeah, 21, something like that. Yes, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 side dots. That's pretty much it for visual aid in terms of what's marked on the instrument. So if I'm playing, like this, I'm basically looking at the back of the neck, and a little bit of the side dots, and a lot of it is muscle memory, and it is patience, repetition, patience in time. Like I said before, it's just patience in time, like a lot of things that we get good at, and hopefully I've gotten good at this stuff. And so that's why I'm trying to do this, in terms of trying to be out there a little more and share the knowledge that comes with working on something new, or just constantly working on something, which is always important. Oh yeah, and then actually on a side note for that question, it's a little hard to see, I think, from that far, and I can't really get closer to the. Yeah, it's really hard to tell. But if you can see, this portion, the fretless portion, actually, is. So this five strings, the black strings, is fretless, and so there are actually sort of lines for this fretless part, and they are really cool actually. If you can see the fretboard, that's the natural color of it. I believe it's called Rose of the Mountain, and I don't think I know anybody other than Michael Tobias who actually uses this fretboard, which, you know, it looks awesome and it sounds great, feels great, so I mean that's what we want, right? So it's got like this purple color and this white, if you will, color to it. And I have this thing where I wanted the lines to pop out occasionally. Now I didn't want lines to be like super like too visible, but I wanted something that would help me visually. So on the 3rd, 5, 7, basically where you would normally have side dots or dots at this point, I have it different colors so it pops out more. And I don't know if you can see, yeah, you can kind of see that. Let's see. Is that working? Probably not. But anyway, on the dark portion, there's a white line, and on the light portion, there's a dark line. So essentially, it really pops out good that way. I'm gonna maybe I should actually take a photo of this and post it later, maybe for the next episode. But so it's fun to have that, and some people actually got a kick out of it, saying, "Wow, look at that amazing fretboard job," which Daniel Tobias did, and it looks amazing. And then this person said, "You know, it's a shame you're really not looking at it when you have this amazing fretboard." And that's kind of true. And by the way, if you this is kind of a practice tip. So if you are somebody who practices like this, like say like you always, like what I'm doing right now is like this, right? I'm looking at my fretboard. I'm looking and playing. So if you are somebody who does this all the time, then it is probably a good practice or exercise to do that and play without looking at your fretboard. That's actually a very good exercise in terms of like just switching it up, like switching how you perceive it, switching how your brain works. It could be pretty surprising. Like it's a different sensation. I keep saying sensation about this stuff, but the way you use your senses changes quite a bit. So like if you're somebody that does that, somebody that always looks, then try doing it this way too, like without looking directly at your fingerboard or your hands. Another good example, for example, like right now I can see myself in the monitor. So another thing you can always try is also, like if you have a mirror, you can stand in front of the mirror and play and look at your hands in the mirror and see how that feels, because that also will give you a different sense of how things are, how the spacing is and all that. Jax, hello. Yes sir, thank you. How are you doing? And Mukul, did I say your name right? Where are you from? I am originally from Japan and I live in Los Angeles. I've been living in the United States a lot longer. That's why I have an American accent. Boss. Yeah, hello. Nice wavy. Okay, so practice tip. So since I am a person who doesn't really look at the fretboard too much, if at all, I actually these days sometimes practice looking at the fretboard, and that was something that it didn't really occur to me until maybe a month ago, and I tried looking at it and playing it to see how that feels, and it felt pretty different, which was awesome actually. So for example, here's my song Tenjin. right? And then I can actually practice that looking at it. And that's like, I don't know, that it's just something, it feels different. Maybe it's just me, but I feel like with this kind of instrument or this kind of idea of playing two or three parts, it really adding in your other sense of visual or whatever it is, it really changes your perspective of what are you doing. So try to mix it up, try to switch it up. That's always fun. Okay, Jax, great. What about the electronics? Good question. So I'm going to go ahead and answer that question. So the electronics on this instrument, by the way, this is not by the way, this is what you're asking. So this instrument has 4 outputs. It has 3 Nordstrand pickups and 1 Roland GK, the divided pickup. So yeah, we can see we have 1, 2, 3 pickups, and these all have their own individual output. However, today I'm only going through 1 or using 1 output. That is possible because I have these switches right here, which is kind of hard to see. But flipping these sends all the pickups to 1 output. So I can essentially use it as a mono. I prefer that for solo playing, if anything. If I'm playing with the drummer, like the DVD, that is using all 4 pickups. Oh yes, and then, by the way, the 4th one is right here. That's the GK divided pickup. And that has a 13-pin output right over here. Yes, and that, I do not use synths or anything. I use the V-Bass, which I actually been using for 10 years now that I think about it. I got that in 2008 in Hamamatsu in Japan. I was on tour with Spark 7 with Isao's group, with Isao, Shane, Thomas, and Kiyomi-san, and then the Roland people came and saw a show, and Mr. Yoda, the head at the time, was kind and insisted that I get a V-Bass. And so anyway, I've been using it since then. So the V-Bass is basically sound modeling. It's, it's like your pedals. It tracks normally. There's no latency. And anyway, that's what I like. And then the furthermore about the pickups. So yeah, these are Nordstrand pickups. They're NDC. They're custom NDC pickups. And so since this portion has 6 strings, there's 6 like pull pieces in here, 5, and then 4. So they all have their own thing. And that's how this instrument works. And there's individual volume controls for it, and stack volume and tone, and it's passive. I think that's about it. Yay. Okay, well, thanks for the question, Jack. How you connect in live performance? Jesus, Ivanus, thank you for that great. I need to drink water, man. I am not a. Debbie, thank you for the thumbs up. Hope you're doing good. Are you back from traveling? You probably have a lot of business to do, but anyway, thank you for the thumbs up, Debbie. How you connect in live performance? Okay, so that depends on what type of a show I'm playing. For example, right now, I am actually just going out mono. I have a preamp, a B2 preamp by Inner Bamboo Instruments in Japan. Amazing preamp. By the way, amazing, and the price is, amazing too. I was gonna go for something between like $350, and I showed up and I played, and it was like $650, roughly. But I just played through it and it sounded amazing, so I said, okay, I just gotta get it. So yeah, I'm going through that. Today I'm going through a New Neighbor Immerse, as always. Splitting that up just to my interface. I do have an amp out here as well. So when I perform solo, I usually prefer like a 112 cabinet. And I usually just plug into the aux in of the amp. So I'm basically bypassing the amp. So you get the most pure preamp sound. And for today, since I am doing that, it's just we're gonna look at like the stuff I'm playing when I'm playing solo, a lot of it is actually the parts work together quite a bit. Like for that example, for that tune Shigatsu, so those close voicings, they're supposed to sort of be one thing happening, right? Although they are different parts, but they are really they work together as well quite a bit. And so for solo purposes, I like my sound to come out of one place, and somewhat have a little more unity. Jax, yes, thank you for the question and the thank you. If you have anything else, please ask. Yes. So, but for a live performance, like with a drummer, I really enjoy going throughout as almost in a way many amps as possible. So my favorite drummer to play duo is my brother from another mother, I guess, is Keg. His name is Kegoi, and he's like a metal drummer, and so when it's just the two of us, I want this huge, big, like strong sound. I usually just hop on what he's doing because he's very good at becoming aggressive, and I just hop on for that journey, and maybe some of the more sensitive stuff I feel like maybe he hops on me. But anyway, so when I play with him, I prefer having 4 amps basically, and if I can have more I will, but 4 amps works pretty good. Basically 1 amp for each output. Like the 6-string portion gets its own amp, the bass gets its own amp, and then 4-string portion gets its own amp, plus the V bass gets its own amp, and they're basically like stacked behind me, so there's like this wall of sound coming out, and it works great actually. If you had a chance to see some of that footage on YouTube that I did with Keg, or the DVD, the full DVD is out too. I gotta plug that a little more, yeah. So the DVD is out, and if you want to order that, please do. It turned out great. So anyway, so in that performance, me and Keg are looking at each other, and basically I am playing through 4 amps, and there's just this sound going at Keg, and then his sound is coming at me, and yeah, it's really great. So that's really ideal for that kind of situation. All right, so is there any more further live questions? If not, I am going to go ahead and skip to... Yeah, actually, you know what? Maybe I will go ahead and answer some of the questions I received now in Japanese. はい、ではちょっとここからは日本語でね、説明をしたいと思います。なんか珍しく今日は日本語英語を混ぜて喋るのも面白いかなと思ったんで、質問でこの弦の原稿はどうなっているのかという質問をいただいたんですけれども、原稿は、自分この楽器に関して今までの楽器の中で一番低いです。自分結構原稿が高いのが好きで、他のスティックプレイヤーとかが僕の楽器いじった時に原稿高って大体みんなびっくりしてたんですよ。特にベアトラックス弾いてる時は。でもこの楽器になってからは低めで来たんですね、もともと。でそれでなんか楽器ごとになんかチャレンジがあるのも好きなんですよ。なんか楽器独特の触り心地っていうものがあってほしいんで、自分で全部同じようにするんじゃなくて、やっぱり楽器から楽器で自分がそれに対してなんかこう答えるというか、なんか自分を楽器によって変えるっていうのもすごい大切なことだと思うんで、この楽器はそのまんま、ベース側だけはちょっと上げたんですよ。どうしても低すぎたんで原稿は。でも基本的に高い原稿の方が好きです。理由はダイナミックスとかが弾きやすいですし、あと僕がよく使うね、このストラミングとかこういうプラッキングとか、そういうのが全部ある程度原稿がないと難しいんで、そうです。それに似てはいないですね。ついでの答えで、弦の幅もスティックとかってもうちょっと狭いと思うんですけど、大ギターもいくつだったかちょっと今思い出せないんですけど、僕のは、これ11ミリで分かれております、全部が。なので、普通にベースとかで考えたらすごい近いわけですけど、タッピング楽器にしたら 意外と、弦と弦の間はあります。はい、それ以外にもう一つもらった質問で、こう僕が弾いてる時にこう横で見ると、この手元を見てない、フレットボードを見てない、っていうことは後ろになんかドットがあったりするのかっていう質問をいただいたんですけど、そうドットは決してないです。僕後ろは普通になんか、ネックの見た目があるだけで、こう横にここだけサイドドットがあります。5と7と12、17、これまた間違えるのか 21? そんな感じです大体。はい。なので、そういう風になっております。では、はい、日本語の質問もあればぜひぜひ。Alright, so that was interesting. Just switching back and forth English and Japanese for a change. Alright, so let's oh yeah, and let's go to the next question. So this one, it's probably it's a question that I get often, and so people wonder what I practice. Now that's a very good question, and to a degree, I'm not super comfortable sharing what I practice because I practice things I usually can't do or can't do very well or won't do most of the time in front of people. And I guess that's the point of practicing, right? There is good and bad to that, I think, to a degree. Of course, you want to practice things that you're not good at so you can become and expand your vocabulary. However, you can overdo it a little bit too, to the point where what you're good at diminishes a little bit too. I could be wrong, but that's just sort of where I'm at right now in terms of how I view or think about practicing. So, but anyway, so people wondering what I practice. So, for example, I would practice something like, so I just grabbed some charts today right away, because I do a lot of, reading just charts and stuff. And so let's just take, for example, I'm just going to do a little bit of demonstrating in terms of what I practice. So here's a tune, right? So famous tune, right? So right? So, but that's not what I'm going to do today. So let's say I'll take the chord changes and I'm going to play the chords and bass, but for the most part, all the chords I'm going to strum, right? Because as good as I got with the strumming with the pinky reporting for duty, it's still relatively new in terms of actually making music or making something happen with it. So I want to practice it and make use of it as much as I can. Plus I want to expand on the chord voicings that I can do. For example, so we got the first chord, which is an E-7 flat 5, right? So nothing too exciting there. We got the root, the flat 5th, the 7th, 3rd on top, and I could hold that. So I'm barring, and then the middle finger is holding basically the B flat, the 5th, and I'm strumming that, which works great. So we got the root 5th on the right hand too, of course, plucking, right? And then, by the way, I realize I say right a lot when I'm explaining. I don't know if I'm telling you right or if I'm telling myself right. Very confusing. So we got that, and the next chord, we have an A7 flat 9. So you can decide if you want to play the flat 9 or not, or what kind of A7 you want to play. So for example, if you're going to play an A7, let's say like this one. This one's pretty... So this one is basically an A7 with a 13. So we have the A, C sharp, G. So we just have just a plain A7 without the 5th basically. But then we could add, so I can do this. Does that make sense? Hopefully it does make sense. So right here now we have a B, which, is the 9th, not a flat 9, but we have the B, and on top we have an E. So that'll give you like a 7 with the 9 on top. So in this case, where we have an A7 with a flat 9, so I'm thinking, okay, so I gotta do maybe something like this. Right, so we have the C sharp, G, and actually we have the C, which is a sharp 9, and then have the E, and then A on top. So that works pretty good too. And then also we could do something like this, which I'm building off the G. The lowest is a G, right? And then we have, what is this? What do we have here? We have a G, then we have the C sharp, and then we have, right? We have an F, we have a B flat, which is flat 9, and then we have a E flat or D sharp, whichever you want to think about it as. So that gives it a nice, nice tension, but it also has a very open sound because it's in fourths, right? So basically, like, I'll think about that kind of thing for all the chords that comes up. For example, so the first 4 is a E minor 7 to a A7, right? To a C minor 7 to a F7. So you can play that in many different ways. So I would do something like, okay, so now I'm gonna try playing the E minor 7 flat 5 up here on top, on a higher position. And then, right, I can play that up here. And then, right, earlier I was playing the C minor 7 down here, but I can play up here. And then I can play. So even just that, that's the stuff I practice. Now, if you want me to break that down even further, maybe I should, but I don't know. All these like chord and stuff, it gets a little, I don't know if that's something you need to learn from me, because there's plenty of other places where you can learn about chord voicing and stuff. The idea is, though, for me, when I practice, I try to do things that really expand my brain a little more. And for example, if I'm going to be playing again, let's say we'll just take those 3 chords again, E minor 7 flat 5 to A7 flat 9, C minor 7, F7. For example, if I'm going to, so right now I was thinking more like bass and chords, but I can do something like this where it's like, if this makes sense to you. So what's happening is I have the root, and I have just the E and the B flat and an E, but then on this side I have a G and an A. So that gives me like a kind of a cool close voicing. If you want to hear it, it's actually, right? So we have 3 like cluster sounds in a row. So that gives it kind of a nice sound as well. And then, for example, for the A7 with a flat 9, I can do. So we have an A, C sharp, and a G, and then there is a bass note here, and I'm throwing in the A flat, and then I'm throwing in the F on top. So that also makes. So that is totally, completely different sound. Well, depending on how you hear things or your perspective. For example, let's say here's a A7 with a sharp 9 in it, right? So we have that, but then we can have, which is really cool. It's the same instrument, same strings, but grouping them differently to get like a unique sound. Again, let's say we're gonna play the. Right, which is kind of a cool sound. I mean, I like that sound. I don't know if you do, but I like that sound. Or I could do something like, I could play the, right, something like that. In which case, I'm actually playing, so I have a, or actually, you know what? Yeah, that's nicer. So we have a different voicing for the E minor 7 flat 5 already. So which is great. So we have, okay, so the basic E minor 7 flat 5 sound would be something like this, right? But then you can play something like. So that's the kind of the stuff that I work on, and sometimes I do it in time, sometimes I do it out of time. Jesus, yes. Cluster mixed harp sound. Yes, very good point. Deuces, man, deuces. Harp sound, that is very, that might be very accurate. It is probably a lot closer to a harp or even like a piano or a keyboard voicing, and yes, very good description. Harp sound. Yeah, so you can do that, say, even for the C minor 7. Like, if I were to play something pretty big. So, if you can hear that, that's actually unison, right? So my thumb and my ring finger over here, that's both playing a C. So you get like this chorus effect almost, like a natural? Yeah, like a natural chorus effect, which is kind of neat as well. And then you can play the A7. In which case, you know, you don't see too much of my hand moving, right? And then, or you can do something like, let's see, right? So that's also a F7, but we have a regular 7. We have the 13 over here. You can always put the 13 as a flat if you want. Sounds kind of nice too. So yeah, is some of the stuff that I practice to help expand my brain and to, you know, just explore different possibilities. You know, why so many strings? It's a lot of it is because of the, you know, as Jesus says, it's like the harp sound, the close voicings. I really like those type of right? This sounds nice, I mean. Or so that's part of it. So let's say I will go through them differently. For example, I could do I'm going to keep going. Yeah, something like that, you know? And practice ear training. Yes, exactly. Ear training is also very good. I mean, part of, you know, playing this type of instrument successfully is, you know, your muscle memory, how your brain works, how your ear works. They're all intertwined. And the more you can identify something for what it is, whether if you're playing it right or wrong, your melody separate from your bass, all that, it's, you know, it's very helpful to be able to differentiate all these things. So yes, again, that's a very good point. You said harp sound, you said ear training. All of that sounds very good. All right, so yeah, that's the kind of stuff I would do. Plus, okay, so another example, like, let's do something here. For example, like metronome again, like it's on 69. For example, like, again, this is another standard, but we got So you got something like that too, where you could practice, especially for me because I want to get better at my one hand bass. So something like that where it's actually very it's easy to know how that's supposed to sound, I guess, in a way. So I will practice stuff like that, which I normally won't play in front of people unless it's like like a dinner show. If somebody asks me, hey Kai, we need like a jazz duo or trio for a show, then yeah, I'll do it. Except if I'm doing a show on my own, I probably will not be playing any of that stuff. So anyway, but this stuff is good in terms of practicing. Like, for example, in terms of practicing independence, even your ear or anything, just even that one part, right? So we have a E flat 7 to a D minor. So for starters, getting used to playing that with one hand is kind of hard because it moves around just tricky enough, and then that also moves around tricky enough. So just being able to go. So just being able to do that really trains a different aspect of muscle and ear familiarity with the fretboard. So let me just put that back on again. So you can do one. Switch up the voicing a little bit. Yeah, so I would actually do something like that. And for example, playing the melody could be a little tricky because there's a triplet in there. And for example, right? And then you got a walking part here, which basically feels different, right? And then these days I'm actually started to walk. So my one hand bass technique, as some of you might know, the default is index with the pinky and then the middle. Wait a minute. Index with the ring, middle with the pinky. That's sort of the default. But I figured out maybe for if I'm gonna do walking, I might just do it with the pinky. This is still very much a work in progress. We'll see how this goes maybe in about a year, maybe longer. But upright bass players, I don't know if it's true with all of them, but I know some basically go with one finger when they're walking for consistency. So I thought, okay, well, if that works for them, I should definitely try that. For example, so if I'm doing like this next chord, like like something like that, I want to be able to pluck with one finger. Let me do that again. That was terrible, actually. So even something like that actually is very good practice for me because it have to learn how to switch from picking with one finger, from picking with two fingers or one finger, and then you got this melody or the groupings like the triplets and whatnot that I normally wouldn't do. So that's kind of how I practice is like by doing stuff that, often wouldn't come out from my fingers if I was just kind of playing or just having fun that way. So hopefully that was a okay explanation of what I practice. I feel like sometimes just me talking about how I practice is probably a little more clear than actually showing examples, because I think sometimes people see what I'm playing, or they get too caught up in what I'm actually playing, and they don't understand the part what it's for. I'm not, practicing this stuff to basically play that tune per se. I'm doing it as a way to expand my brain. Maybe that's like obvious to some people, but I'm doing it as a way to expand the vocabulary and the understanding of how my brain works. And then so when it comes to doing things that I really enjoy, like playing, I'm just going to throw out like playing with Keg or playing with Daniel Rosenboom's group. Like when it comes to playing that stuff, I have all these ideas of how my mind and body react to different things. Now I know that sounds maybe a little too scientific, if you will. Maybe it's not. And this is just music, of course, but playing something like this, like any instrument, takes patience and practice, and yeah, I like to have my grounds covered as much as I can, and that's why I go and practice a lot of things that I'm not very good at, or that I think is going to help me become a better player. So hopefully that helps, and I hope the actual examples didn't throw off anybody too much. And I know some of you are probably thinking, wow, we got a really shiny string today, and that's because I actually broke one string today, which is surprising. I had to adjust the truss rod. This actually has 2 truss rods in there, by the way. I had to adjust the truss rod today because it's been humid in LA for whatever reason. So my string height was getting noticeably a little low the past few days. So I adjusted it, and when I was adjusting it, like I guess the string was getting a little old up here, so it just kind of snapped off. And so yeah, now I have a shiny string today, just one string, as you can see, this one. By the way, just so you know, that is a labella. I play labella strings for I don't know, like 12 years now. Yeah, and it's got the MTD thing. And I forgot, but yeah, this is a plain 24. My G string is a plain 24. Yes, Jesus, thank you for the question and the thank you as well. Yay. Yeah, I think that was a good amount of information for the day, actually. Does anybody have any further questions? Questions, comments, answers, anything of that sorts? And yeah, let me know if some of this stuff is going by too quickly, or maybe it's too slow, or you want me to actually explain the theory or the voicings or not. Like I said, I feel a lot of the times the things I do in terms of voicings or whatnot, a lot of that kind of stuff is out there, and I mean I could explain to you what's happening. For example, if I say this, if I'm saying to you, okay, here's an E7 with a sharp 9 on top, right? So if I say we have the bass and we have a 4-note like E7 voicing with the E on top, and then over here we have a G, B, and a G, D, and a B, and then E on the bass, and you get like this nice E7 voicing. Would you want me to explain like where every, like which finger is holding what? Is that something you want to know? Let me rephrase again, or let me try to ask that question so I can actually post that, and maybe I can get some feedback. Now, if I say there's an E7 with a sharp 9 on top, would you want to hear what every note is on each hand? If yes, please let me know. And if you're good with that, then I can just show you examples. It's okay, but I have no one-handed. Yes, one-hand bass. So either is okay, right? But anyway, do let me know your preference about that, because sometimes I am not sure if I'm going too fast or too slow, or I just want to keep things interesting. And yeah, today I'm this is still only the 6th episode, which is crazy to think, and still trying to figure this out. So please do let me know your feedback, and I have gotten feedback, and thank you for those who have given me feedback. It's been very positive, and I really appreciate your positive feedback, and I just want to make it better. So if there's something, you can let me know. And yeah, let's see. Yes. Come on. Nay Junior, come on. What do you mean come on? That is I am puzzled. What do you mean come on? What do you want? You want performance? We're talking more about technique breakdown here. But anyway, thank you for your question. Okay, so I think that's kind of wraps it up for today. Hopefully that was an okay episode and showed you a little bit of what I practice in terms of how things go when I'm practicing or preparing for a performance. I usually, this is probably the idea of practicing. I do most of the times practice things that I consider myself not an expert at, and I do spend quite a lot of time doing that. And I feel like, to a degree, sometimes that does actually take a toll on me in terms of executing something that I'm already good at. So usually before I go on tour, I'll give myself a period of time where I'm just going to practice the stuff that I'm going to play on tour, or I will just do stuff that I'm doing for the performance or recording, and maybe that's how it goes for everybody. I don't know. Maybe that's different. So, but I'm just hopefully sharing what happens with me, and hope that information helps. So, as always, we have the MTD Kubo, we have the Labella strings, Nordstrand pickups, as I was answering earlier, and we have the B2 preamp, New Neighbor Immerse, and I keep saying this, but I am actually not going anywhere until mid-October. So hopefully I'm going to try to do this every week until then. Might take a little break soon, I'm not sure when, just because sometimes stepping away from something helps you realize what's good and what's not, what's working, what needs a little more, and then the feedback definitely is helping with that too. So please do give me feedback. Today's episode was probably a lot more talking than actually playing, more so than any other one, but hopefully that was helpful. And Dale, yes. Yes. Well, thank you for checking it out after rehearsal. Usually for me, if I have a rehearsal, if I'm playing, the last thing I want to do is hear somebody else talk about music or anything like that. So I appreciate you joining. But yeah, today I'm actually gonna wrap up already. Did some demonstrating of what I practice and what I work on. So hopefully that stuff is gonna help some of you to get an idea of what to practice or how to approach practicing in terms of the mental aspect. All right, so thank you for joining me. Next week I will plan to do this again, and thank you for your feedback, everyone. Until next time. Yeah, this is Tuesday office hours, usually live 8 p.m. Pacific time. And yeah, I bid you good night.